How you doing? We're speaking with John Lodge of the Moody Blues today, and you are going to be in Tucson on July 26th at the Fox Theater. And I was looking up the show. It looks like a really, really cool thing that you're doing, and maybe you can explain it a little bit further for the listeners.
Yeah, I'm performing Days of Future Past in its entirety from start to finish. And I'm really excited. I started touring this in spring of this year down the East Coast, and the reaction was fabulous. And I thought I have to take it to the rest of America. Days of Future Past completely. I I I asked Graham Edge uh, just before he passed away, unfortunately, that he would record the poetry from Days of Future Past for me. And I said, Dad, Graham, you'll always have a place on stage for me. And I filmed it. And I filmed as a film of Graham narrating the poetry. He said, John, keep the Moody Blues music alive. And that's what I'm doing. And John Davison from Yes joins me on stage as well.
Oh,
And
wow.
I've got my 10,000 Light Year band. And we're having a great time. We're having a great time.
So are you playing the album in its entirety, then taking a break and then doing some Moody Blues classics? Or are you doing it kind of the opposite way around? Start off with some Moody Blues, other
The
tunes?
opposite, yeah, the opposite way around, I think it works better. I'm doing classic Moody Blues, some tribute to Ray Thomas, legend of mine, because that is Ray, and song from Blue Jays, Saved by the Music, and Isn't Life Strange, and Singer of Rock and Roll Band, Gemini Dream, just the classics as far as I'm concerned on the first half, and then a break and reset. Days of Future Past, even started with the backward gong.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So you're recreating it just like the album.
exactly like the album. There's things I've changed slightly because in a live situation, you have to do things slightly different to encourage the audience to be part of the concert as well.
Oh, that makes sense. Absolutely. So real quick, back to John Davidson. I saw him perform with Yes, maybe well, everything with COVID has changed. I think it was 6, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
But I saw him perform, an amazing performer. And then I was reading a little bit about him. You're actually not just, he's not just your singer, he's somewhat related to you now, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's my son-in-law. It makes me feel old.
How,
Son-in-law.
how did you two meet? Through your daughter, or did
No,
they meet
I
through you?
was on the cruise to the edge, which is Yes's cruise from Miami through the Caribbean, and I was performing on that, and 4 years ago, and after a couple of nights, my daughter said, "Daddy," because she always travels with me because she manages me actually. She said, "Daddy, I want you to meet someone." And I met John there, and that like 4 years ago. So it's quite remarkable.
Well, when I saw him perform his vocal range, I mean, he really hits those Yes tunes the way they were recorded. And how does he do with the Moody Blues songs? Does he change his voice a little bit?
No, because what I wanted to do is be himself exactly. And he's got this great voice where he can sing very high,
Hmm.
or he can sing in the high tenor range, which is great for the moodiest blues songs. And so it really works well. And everything's on the album is in the same key as the album
Oh,
was recorded. So all the innuendos musically really happen acoustically, audially, you know, because sometimes when you change a key, things change,
hmm.
But they don't, because it's all the same keys. Great.
So who else is in your 10,000 Light Years band besides you and John?
Well, Alan Hewitt. Alan Hewitt, I've known, first met Alan about 40 years ago, but he was in the Moody Blues keyboard player for 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And him and I formed a great relationship musically and friendship, and he's a brilliant musician. And on drums, I've got a guy called Billy Ashbrook. Billy was with In Sync, and he was also our second drummer in the Moody's for 5 years. So as a bass player, having a drummer I've worked with for years and a keyboard player I've worked with you, it was fantastic, because that was the heart really of the band, what I wanted to put together. And then I met the guitarist called Duffy King from Detroit, a Academy Award-winning guitarist. He's a brilliant, brilliant guitarist. And I didn't want to have a flute in my band for lots of reasons, but I wanted a cello. And I wanted the cello to take an integral part of the sound of the band by being a lead instrument in my band. And I found a fantastic cellist called Jason Charbonneau out of Detroit. And he's with me, and he's brilliant. So I love the band, and they love playing Moody Blues music, you know. And it's wonderful when I get to rehearsals every day, and Jason's been practicing for hours on the cello, because it's an acoustic instrument, mic'd up, and it's brilliant.
Seems like Detroit has been very good to you.
Brilliant. And musically, yeah. I'm from Birmingham, and we were known as Second Motor City, because Birmingham made all the cars in the UK, as did Detroit. And went to Detroit first. It was brilliant, you know.
So you put out an album a few years ago. It was a live album, The Royal Affair. I think it was in 2021. Any plans on recording a new live album or any new studio music?
I think you preempted me here. I'm probably going to be told off, but I have. When I rehearsed and played Days of Future over and over and over, somebody said, "Why don't you make a live album?" I said, "I don't want to do live album, but I will do. I'll go in the studio with everybody and make an album in high fidelity as a studio." So I've actually recorded Days of Future Past, and it will be available in the next coming weeks or whatever.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Hopefully. And also, I mixed it in Dolby Atmos, and that will be coming later in the year with 180 gram vinyl, and because I'm a vinyl freak anyway. So I wanted it in vinyl, so gatefold sleeve, all the information, lots of things people could read about, you know. So
you've re-recorded it with the 10,000 Light Years band?
Yeah, completely.
Oh, that's fantastic. How does it feel to go back in the studio and revisit an album like that, something you recorded decades ago? How does it feel? Is it a different experience going in now compared to then, as far as did you tweak anything, or did you stick more to the original plan, or did you go do some stuff that maybe you wanted to do then and couldn't do then?
I wanted to stick to the original album. And obviously I'm doing most of the singing, so the other guys that sang on the album aren't singing. But I think when I rehearsed the album first, I listened to the original album to make sure I've got everything that I think is right, and the integral parts of the song. So when it came to recording, I was only thinking really of the rehearsal stage, not the original album. because it was important to try and capture the essence of the original album with the energy and the Wi-Fi, the audio that is available today with the album. So it was a mixture, really.
When that album first came out, wasn't it really groundbreaking when it came to stereo and using orchestral, and especially with rock bands and pop bands at that time? And nowadays, some of the stuff that would take hours and hours to do back then, because of the equipment and the tech, you can do pretty easily now and even beyond.
Yeah, the Days of Future Past were recorded on 2 4-track machines, and when we mixed the album, we mixed it only in stereo. The first album was only in stereo. We had to go back in and mix it in mono because, particularly in the UK, not many people had stereo playing machines. So they only had mono. But it is an incredible time, actually, for the aficionados. The original albums, it got a hole in the sleeve on the top right-hand corner to say it was mono or stereo.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. That way people knew which one they got.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Things that we take for granted nowadays when you think about it, stereo. And in a lot of ways, I think that bands have gotten more and more, how should I put it, newer music has gotten a lot more simple because of the advent of the MP3 and the compression involved in that. You don't see a lot of bands doing what the Moody Blues did back then, where I almost feel like the bands from that era were trying to push the envelope, where now it's more simple and almost going back to the way it was in the 50s. Let's make 3-minute pop ditties and simple and not a lot of stereo and not a lot of effects. But I'm hoping now, because I'm seeing kids really getting into collecting vinyl again.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring the album to a new generation. Not that I'm negating the people who grew up with us, but I think the album has got a lot to say today. I really do, and particularly what's going on in the world, which is not a good place. I think the album has got a lot to say about that. And also with the technology, I was saying, getting the audio to actually come out and speak to you now with great headphones. But kids have got having listening parties now, where they've got record players and speakers. They're saying, "Hey, listen to this," and play the record for each other, and that's what's been missing. For me, for the last 15 years, it's become isolationist. You can't. The great thing about enjoying a record is it's a performance, even if it's a record, and it's great to enjoy that with people listening at the same time, and you can explore the emotions together, whether you like that emotion or not like it. You're exploring the feelings that the artist is trying to get over to you.
I was talking to my friend who works for a record store in town, and believe it or not, record stores still exist. And they've actually said that they've seen a resurgence in doing record listening parties again. And I went, wow, take me back to the 80s and 90s. That's awesome.
Yeah, fantastic. It's brilliant. I love nothing better than friends coming around to my house and putting a record on. I've got a snooker table, pool, and I've got some great JBL speakers up there, and great Technics turntable. And I'll put albums on, modern ones or Nashville Skyline, Bob Dylan, doesn't matter. They sound different, And when you've got a few people together enjoying yourself and listen, and it's great when you somebody listens to a record and comment about that record. You don't get that now,
Well, record store culture, I'm hoping, is coming back, especially with the younger generation rediscovering vinyl again and having it and actually getting record players. And because there is more of, in my opinion, a warmth to vinyl.
Oh, it's a different sound, different sound. My uh, my what's my analysis of it is it's dead simple. Put a CD in your CD player, and when you want to listen to it in low volume, the CD manufacturers have put a button on called loudness, and that's artificial to bring the bottom up. Because when you turn the CD down, it goes quiet at the bottom. Everybody knows for 100 watts of power on the bass, you only need 10 watts of power on a guitar. So, but on vinyl, because of the grooves, you turn a vinyl record down, you don't have a button because the bass is still there.
Yes. And I'm sure that's got to be important for you being a bass player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm looking forward to the show, John. It's going to be July 26th here in Tucson at the Fox Theater. So you're going to come out and do some Moody Blues classics for first set, then take a smaller set, then come back and do Days of the Future Past in its entirety.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking forward to it entirely. Really, really. I'm having a great tour, and I say my band rehearse all the while, and they love the music.
So if people want to follow you on social media or on the internet, where can they find you, John?
JohnLodge.com, obviously on moodybluestoday.com, and on Facebook, of course, and on Twitter.
All right.
Yeah, all the places.
Well, John, I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Fox Theater here in Tucson. Hopefully I'll get a chance to meet you in person, but it's been a pleasure to speak with you on a Zoom call. This one cool thing about the technology and today is that radio interviews can now be almost face to face.
Yeah, it's great because it's it's really nice when you see the person you're talking to.
Exactly.
You can relate.
I appreciate you taking the time. Hold on a second. I want to get some other quick things from you.
Yeah.
But again, real quick, make sure you check out John Lodge. Tickets still available. You can get them at klpx.com. John Lodge will be at the Fox Theater July 26th, performing Days of the Future Past in its entirety and some other Moody Blues songs as well. John, looking forward to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.